I don't know if you remember, Elijah, the Olympics.
It was like a mockery of the Last Supper. It was more of like a shrine to like the god of Dionysus.
So they replaced Jesus with Dionysus.
I was just reacting and watching this guy talk about the Olympics, and a lot of people talked about how it was like a mockery of the Last Supper and everything like that, and people got upset. But really, in all reality, it was more of like a shrine to like the god of Dionysus, right? Like, is that what was going on? They're trying to bring back this other god. Maybe they once had they had Christianity for a while, but now it just seems like, it's gone. But now they're trying to usher back in this other God. What is going on with that?
Listen, that is exactly what Jesus said. The house doesn't stay empty. You think, oh, we'll take out God and it'll be secular. No, it doesn't stay that way. It's not going to stay empty. And so what we saw at the Olympics was exactly that. It was like a manifestation of what's happening in living color, what's happening in our culture. And so the fact that the Last Supper, and they kind of denied it, but it was the Last Supper. I mean, but the Last Supper, you have the elements of Jesus, his body, the bread and the wine. As it's food, it's a symbol. So you had food on that table, but they replaced it. They had like a covered tray. They took it up, and instead of the food representing Jesus was Dionysus, the god, the ancient god. So they replaced Jesus with Dionysus. Now, think about it. At the beginning of the age, Jesus drove out Dionysus and all the gods. So now it's a picture of we're driving Jesus out and replacing him with Dionysus. And so it's a dangerous thing, and that's what the picture was. And the thing is that now there was a guy named Friedrich Nietzsche, and he was a German philosopher, 19th century, and he did the same thing. I mean, he wrote these books, and he said, we got to drive out Jesus.
Atheist type guy, right?
Yeah, atheist, but he's the one who said God is dead. But he wasn't just, again, the house doesn't stay empty. He advocated for Dionysus.
Oh, wow.
So here he's saying, get rid of Jesus. Paganism is good. And the thing is, Dionysus would drive his followers insane, crazy. And so what happened to Nietzsche is he went crazy. And at the end of his writing, he didn't sign his name Nietzsche, he signed his name Dionysus, as if he was taken over. And the thing is but his writings lived on. And the one who picked up his writings was Adolf Hitler.
Wow.
And the Nazis. And they followed Nietzsche, and look what happened, because they did what he did, and so look what happened. And so what you saw at the Olympics is, it's showing exactly, they had no idea what they were doing, but it shows exactly the problem. That's how dangerous this is. That's what we're dealing with. That's the warfare.
Yeah.
But what you saw in India, but it's not just India, it's the world, because these spirits don't die and they don't stay put. So now it's even more dangerous for a culture that has known God that has turned away. So that is setting the stage of where we are. And so not only have the gods returned, but the avatars have returned as well. And that's where it kind of gets into the realm of kings and even governments and leaders right now on the stage.
So I'm curious, you said something about they do this without even knowing. So I'm curious on your thoughts behind, like, even though maybe they're just thinking, oh, we're just doing this in the name of freedom or like self-love. But in reality, is that more ushering in some demonic presence or something that is just, obviously it's not for God. So what is going on? Even though they're not saying, they maybe are not thinking of another God or anything else.
Well, they were putting a God in there.
Right.
And I think, they're not, I don't know that they're conscious. I
was saying for like a generality for a lot of people.
There may be people, and there are, I'm sure, who are actually wanting this and trying this but I believe that, on one hand, it's a rebellion against God. It's a rebellion against Jesus. It is a celebration of paganism, and you also had an attack on gender, right, in that Last Supper.
Yeah.
It's an attack on God, and without knowing it, but, you're right. They're not knowing it, but they're doing it because they're actually being led, in ways they don't even know, but they're being led because the spirits know.
Yeah.
In the first centuries, these spirits, or there was a war. Christians were thrown to the lions over the gods. So there was a real war going on.
Yeah.
And the thing is that one of the things that was attacked all the time by paganism was the Last Supper, the communion. They attacked it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like the gods coming back, and now they attack. So it's not about the people so much.
Yeah.
It's the spirits behind them. but it was a real manifestation. And that also goes to the ultimate mystery that there may be people, what if there are people on the national stage and of our government that they don't know what they're doing either, and they're being used.
Yeah.
Because the ultimate end game is dominion.
Wow.
The spirits, as we're talking about, if they can have the gods, if they have domain, they don't want to coexist. They don't want, okay, just do your own thing. They ultimately want every knee shall bow to them. And so if they can get the government, they've got everything.
Wow. So speaking of America then and the government, how have you seen these gods implement maybe their spirit or through an avatar? Like, how are they implementing in today's society?
Yeah, well, hopefully, if you have time, I'll open up a specific avatar. I mean, it's going to be real. Yeah, but I do want to say before we say anything, listen, it's not about the people. We pray for all people. Yeah. It's not about even politics. We pray for all people, but people, we are in a real spiritual war, and it's affecting everything. So, a number of things. There was a time when ancient Israel, God gives us an example of what happens. When ancient Israel turned away from God, they turned to the gods. They actually offered up their own children. Well, we're doing that, in abortion. They also, Molech, one of the three gods of the dark trinity. Another one was Ishtar or Ashtoreth in the Bible, a goddess of sexual immorality. Well, we've got that, and actually who was known for merging male and female and confusing male and female. Wow. It's exactly what's happening. And you know what? Her main month when she possessed the culture was June. And one of her signs was the rainbow. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing there. And so what we were watching, remember when you had the time of Ahab and Jezebel, and they were trying to wipe out God, and they had a culture war, and they were offering up children. That's Baal worship. And that's where we've been. In other words, we have been at a point up to recently where it's kind of like the house of Ahab, in a sense. The spiritual, the gods behind it, was taking over virtually every institution of our culture, from the school system to even the military. Was even being wokeified. The Department of Education, Department of Justice, Hollywood, the media, the corporate world. It was all with an anti-biblical agenda. And that's what we see in the Bible. And one of the things is that I don't know if we'll have time to go into it, but the amazing thing is that each of the kings and queens of this period, House of Asia, they're prototypes for people who are on the national stage right now. In other words, behind each one, I mean, it's amazing. From the last quarter century, each one, there's an ancient king or queen that reveals the mystery of that person, and even how long each one will be on the national stage. Exactly. I mean, exactly. I don't. We'll have time to go into it, but I'll. What time do we have? I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, I would love to hear one, just like something.
Okay, let me give you one, and this is a kind of different one because this is going to go into it, and that is because you have the nation falling away from God, but then God, just when it looks like the house of David was going to take over and sealing this forever, God raises up a man called Jehu. Now Jehu was wild, unpredictable. Jehu is the prototype, and it's not that he knows it, behind Donald Trump.